I've got a really fun job, I think. I get to distill some of the bigger strategic ideas that Martin's outlined and to try and apply that overall approach to innovation, particularly. Oh gosh, wrong way. Martin's done a lot of the background already, so I'll probably shoot through the first couple of slides. We know what we're looking at as an area. So really taking the basis of the strategic approach is why the EH, why is it a good region for innovation? We've got an awful lot going on in our area, so I think it gives us a really good opportunity to kind of leverage the exciting projects that are going on and to, as Martin has suggested, use those the energy from those projects to transform the whole region. My particular favourite, and I'll come back to it, is this one on the bottom left. Again, really kind of elaborating on some of the words that Martin's given you already. I think we've got a really great role here in that local authorities and STBs to a wider extent have the ability to facilitate partnerships, really, to bring people together. We don't have skin in the game. We can get the right people in the room together and then get out of the way while they innovate and they help us to address some of the challenges that we all face. The Living Lab was, I think you touched on that just a tiny bit at the bottom of one of your slides, and this is something that I think is really important for all of us to be thinking about. Doing things quickly, facilitating success, and then actually moving forward to the final part of that, which is actual implementation. So what's going on across the art? We're really lucky, and this is why I really enjoy my job so much. I live in Oxford. Obviously, at one end, we've got the incredible work that the university are doing there. We've got the great work that's going on in MK that's been stimulated by the Transport Catapult, and all the way across the arc over to Cambridge. So there's a huge amount going on, which I think will be really exciting. Now, I don't know whether this will actually work. If I press play on this or not. Probably not. Technology. This is, oh no. This is a little model of one of the roundabouts that we have in Oxford. It's an agent-based model. We've been able to work with our university to sponsor a PhD. Now, he's built this agent-based model on based on data that we've got an agreement with Google to have access to. So we're looking origin, destination data. We've built the polygons, and we've now started to build this model. I love this because we can tweak things like the size of the cycle path. We can look at the frequency of the vehicles. We can apply all sorts of characteristics to the cars that are on our roads. So instead of designing new roads or designing changes to our infrastructure based on guidelines, we can do it based on what's actually happening on our network now. We have some incredible autonomous vehicle projects going on across the arc. This is the Driven project, of which we are a proud partner. This is putting autonomous vehicles onto the road now. So up in Summertown, in the north of the city, we have 7 vehicles that are quietly pottering around with somebody obviously behind the wheel, but we have autonomous vehicles on the road in the UK today. All the way across the arc. It's not a great picture, so apologies to Milton Keynes for that one, but you know, they were groundbreaking in pushing the pods into public spaces, and Cambridge obviously looking at their guided bus route, and the next evolution is going to be the pods on their road. So again, starting to generate some real interest and again into the smaller authorities. We're going to be talking to our colleagues from Bucks in the next few days about how we can support them to start running CAV trials of their own. I've slightly messed up on this one. We were going to have an NB-IoT picture across the top there, but this is just to highlight some of the work that we're looking at doing, and I know colleagues in MK are doing as well, is looking at different ways to provide connectivity to sensors, to different bits of infrastructure. We've just started to talk to WND, who are now the Sigfox provider in the UK. They're looking to completely cover the UK with their Sigfox network in the next three to 4 years. There are some challenges around the spectrum and whether it's licensed or not. But when we start to look at generating data and generating information that's going to help us to support and innovate, having low cost solutions to push data across networks is going to be invaluable. We've seen from our colleagues over at, Martin was just presenting over there and giving out some awards. Vivacity Labs were there today. As Peter, who was speaking over there, was talking about having rolling out, I think, did he say 100 sensors in Milton Keynes? We're looking at doing a similar project in Oxford, and this again will start to give us a really clear idea about what's going on our network in a way that we haven't really been able to do before. We're particularly interested in Oxford, cycling and dogs, obviously, but how bikes and how cyclists use our network and how we can improve the opportunities for cyclists in the city. We have, I think, about between cycling and walking, it's something like a 50% modal share for commuters in the town, and that's something we want to encourage and we want to push out and to support the development and deployment of in other towns. We're developing, this is our multi-partner, multi-sector user, it's a hell of a title. This is essentially a multimodal journey planner that we're working on and have supported the development of. It's an organisation called Zipabout who have recently, actually the last couple of days, launched a free to public sector transport platform. What this is, whilst it's lovely to have a multimodal journey planner, it's a really exciting bit of kit. What it's actually going to facilitate is the beginnings of mobility as a service and integrated ticketing. We need platforms like this to support the development and deployment of those technologies and those solutions across the arc. So I've talked about a lot what's actually happening now and what are we wanting to do? What's the little bit of EH that I'm keen on doing? Again, just to recap that particular phrase, I think it's really important that we can create this future by supporting innovation and partnerships. So the bit that I'm really interested in is bringing together modelling data and CAVs, as it says. So this is an idea that Martin and I and others have been working on for a while. This is building on some of the work that Highways England have done with an organisation, a company called IMSEN, which is a spin-out of the Transport Systems Catapult. IMSIM have developed an agent-based simulation which allows planners and developers to look at how their growth is going to impact, how it's going to impact the network. So I don't know if I've got a pointer on this, so I'm going to wander around and shout if that's all right. So we have our regional transport models. We've all got SAP models in our different localities. What we can do is stitch those models together. So we have a nice overview of what's going on. We can use our base years to inform that. On the left, I've talked about the Zipabout platform, which can consume live data. So we'll be pushing our UTMC data into that. We have the EH Growth Data Bank. What's the official name of that one? The data bank will do. This is showing. It's going to be a GIS layer showing where the growth is going to occur across the arc. And finally, on the right-hand side, because of all the CAV and autonomous vehicles programs that we have going on in the region, we can start to develop a better understanding of how people using CAV and how CAV will change the way that we move around. We can feed all of that into the immense simulation. We can start to develop a real detailed understanding of the strategic road network and enabling the real-time scenario testing. So this is going to be a really nice tool for us to engage with the developers. It's going to hopefully bring some of the people out of the silos and hopefully allow planners in different localities to look at the impact of the growth in their own localities on a regional basis. The really fun bit, which I'm particularly keen on, is the top level there. Now this is Geist Solutions. They do a highway condition mapping. So they've developed a product which is a bit like Google Street View on steroids, if you like. What they can do is they can show us a real-time condition of the roads. They can model degradation on there. So with all of the information that we'll be pushing into Geist, we can start to look at the cost of management of our network post-growth, or while that growth is happening. And that's going to be something which will inform all of the partners across the EH fairly soon, we hope, if it works, about what that's going to cost in terms of maintenance and ongoing revenue costs to manage our network. So sort of just a quick overview of the outcomes of that. So finally, what next? It's to create new partnerships, to work with the other STBs, the other emerging areas, to look at ticketing, to look at mobility as a service, and continue to look outward. We've in Oxfordshire, we've been involved in some programs where we've been working with Indian cities. We're keen to look at Brazil, China. Where next? Let's be open here, and again to focus on bringing new smart city projects. I was in Brussels a couple of weeks ago outlining some of the work that we're doing in the EH and indeed that model, and there was a lot of interest there. So hopefully we can start to generate a more international interest and learn from other high growth corridors. And really, I think, what next? Are we flying cars, talking cars? It's an exciting time.